Reckless Ben has gotten himself in trouble with the law because he was getting involved in the Bricks and Minifigs Lego case that everyone is interested right now on the internet. We've heard the story, we know the details, but today I want to break down the legalities of what's actually going on and dive deeper into what Ben is actually up against. Is he going to be able to get this case overturned? We have ourselves a nice coffee from the local bagel shop this morning. Let me know what you guys are drinking. Now, let's dive into the video.
Big update in the Bricks and Minifigs case as we have an intervention that may end up blowing this wide open. Of course, this is the legal mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. And this has been a wild ride in the case of Reckless Ben, Bricks and Minifigs, which has now become a massive legal battle.
Now, I really like videos like this because I am not a lawyer, so I like to be able to tune in and learn about the law from someone that actually has a degree in this and then break it down for you guys in more layman's terms.
And one thing that we've got to pay attention is Reckless Ben's RICO case. He has this massive case that he is now facing, and that is coming to a head very soon with hearings on that coming up imminently, like very, very, very soon.
Now, what RICO stands for is Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. Essentially, to my understanding, this means that you can be silenced if you have a large enough following that can cause problems for the person that you are investigating, bothering, call it what you will. So in this case, Reckless Ben has a very large following here on YouTube and was causing issues for the case, hence the RICO case.
And one big decider here is the law Gormans, which have now filed officially a motion to intervene in this case. Now, we're going to explain all about this, exactly what that means.
So let's dive into what Reckless Ben actually did that got him in trouble in the first place and where it leads him to as he sits as a defendant in court right now.
Okay, now, here's some context for those that need background. Obviously, you've got Reckless Ben. His stolen Lego allegations involve a time when the franchise was owned by Crystal Law and Ben Gorman. That's what we're going to call them, the Law Gormans. Ben confronted several people in Utah, leading to him getting misdemeanor charges. We've also talked about that on my previous videos, charges like stalking, trespass, disorderly conduct. And on May 30th, 2026, BAM, Bricks and Minifigs Corporate, filed a civil RICO case against Ben, the Mansells, and others, alleging coordinated harassment and extortion. Now, that was huge because that came along with a TRO, a temporary injunction, which really stopped Ben from creating content. And he came out with a video explaining as much.
Episode 3 is finally finished, but I can't post it or I will go to jail. I am no longer allowed to even mention this mystery company.
Now, it's worth noting that for content creators, something like this is brutal. Now, luckily for Reckless Ben, he was able to put out that video, which maintained his traction and actually probably brought more eyes to the situation itself, which helped his series, his mini-series that he was making on YouTube. And then when this is all done, he'll be able to put everything out, that final video, as long as he wins in court. And literally everyone is going to watch it because it's been so publicized. So I think he's going to end up being okay. But for now, he's been silenced. He can't put out content on this. He has to be very vague in what he does say, as you just saw in that interview. And for a content creator, that's essentially content creator, the death of a series.
Now, the Law Gormans have a separate lawsuit, a completely separate from Ben, separate from everything. They have a lawsuit going with BAM Franchising over an alleged wrongful franchise seizure. So they've got this separate lawsuit that they have an interest in going after against BAM. So now what they want to do is they want to come into the case with Ben, with Reckless Ben, and they want to intervene. Now, they are not going to be full defendants or litigate the entirety of the case, but what they're really concerned about is narrowing or dissolving that temporary restraining order that's keeping Ben from speaking. And so what do we've got here? Well, the first important thing for intervention is that they're not defendants, right? That's key. The other thing is that TRO is overreaching. And by having such a strong restraining order that keeps him from making any videos, that potentially chills free speech, right? It doesn't allow people to publish the truth, to get news out there. And that's very important for them, given their separate fight with BAM, Bricks and Minifigs. And that could impair their ability. That could hurt their lawsuit and their discussion of the facts. If they're not able to discuss their case, that's going to hurt their case. So they're asking the judge to narrow or strike the takedown, clarify that the order does not bind the law Gormans, or just decline to give a preliminary injunction. So say, hey, everybody can speak about things. There's no limits.
It's actually crazy that, where we live here in the United States, that this could actually happen, that someone that's out there trying to get the news out can be silenced in this way. It seems to go against everything that we are as a nation, but in this case, it's actually happening. Now, we can probably believe that Reckless Ben was out there and he was being a nuisance to these people. He potentially wasn't doing it in a way that was the most professional, I guess, for a lack of better words. But that still doesn't mean that he should be silenced.
And let's look at the legal standard here. This is very important. For intervention, there's really two types of intervention. Number one, intervention as a right, and number two, permissive intervention. There is a very strong argument under the rules of procedure, which I had a chance to go look up and discuss with some of my Utah colleagues. There's some strong points for intervention here under the permissive intervention. That is because there's common issues of law and fact, because the scope of the injunction is too broad, it's chilling speech, that's First Amendment, that's a problem, and because, and this is a very key fact, that restraining order mentions specifically Brian and Crystal, so it literally name drops them. And because they've got their names in that order, they've got a strong reason to intervene and to be pulled in this case. So when you look at my judgment here and what I think is going to happen, this is a very smart, limited play by the law Gormans to protect their own case while also getting good PR. Everybody is on the side against BAM right now, it seems like, and they're able to come in and say, hey, we're helping Reckless Ben. We're on the side of good here. We're coming in and doing a positive thing by opening this up, by not, have restricting speech, by allowing free speech.
Yeah, the law Gormans definitely have a good lawyer on their side that's recommending that they get there with Reckless Ben. Think about it. Reckless Ben is the one that's being done wrong right here, in addition to many other people, but Reckless Ben is the one that has gotten all the spotlight. He's the famous celebrity of YouTube. So getting on and latching on to his case and taking the stance alongside of him is going to bring more exposure to the Law and Gorman case as well. And in the end, if they all work together, it's probably going to be just doom for BAM themselves.
And I do think they have a very clear interest to intervene, and going over the odds and talking to people about it, I think they've got about a 75 to 80% chance of intervening and having an effect here. So that doesn't mean necessarily that the judge is going to get rid of the TRO, but just for them to be permitted to intervene and then the judge to consider what they said seriously. So I think they're probably allowed to do that. Now, one clear thing here is not everybody can intervene. A lot of times, many people want to step in the case, they want to get involved, but the judge says no. There's no, in this case, they don't have a right, 100% right to come into the case, but the judge has a good reason to permit them to come into the case. I think there's a 75 to 80% chance they come in on that. And if this happens, if this indeed happens, they're allowed to come in, Reckless Ben's part 3, his whole strategy now opens up. It gives him a lot more leverage. So I am absolutely waiting to see what happens with this TRO, with this hearing that is coming up very shortly.
In my opinion, this is going to be a very smart play, and it would be really great if Reckless Ben was on board as well. I think everyone working together, and this is even, take the lawyer talk out of it, because again, I'm not a lawyer. If you get multiple people teaming up together to take down a larger entity, your odds are going to be better to do so. That seems like something that's common sense, and it seems like here with Reckless Ben's exposure that he can bring to this because of his popularity, it's going to be a very good play for the Law Gormans, for Reckless Ben, for the consignment items, and basically to bring down Bricks and Minifigs. I created a full playlist of all of this content, which you could find right here. Make sure you go check it out, and I'll see you guys over there.